Good evening, всем привет. Hello and welcome to English You Can Use, the program where you learn English that you can actually use. My name is Mett Tompson. I'm the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Consulate in Yekaterinburg, and we're really glad to see you tonight. If this is your first time, definitely say hello. If it's your 15th time, you can say hello too. We have a really fun program tonight. It's really great to be able to introduce you to my colleague, Jehan Radgovski-Jones in Moscow. But she's going to be a little bit later. I have a question for all of you. Maslenitsa, the best holiday I think Russia has, just finished. So I want your recommendation. What is the best blini? Sami vkusni blini po вашему мнению. So tell me. In the US right now, we have March Madness, big basketball tournament. If you've never heard of it, we're going to talk a little bit about it. And I have a little prize tonight for the best question, and I am the judge of who has the best question. Sorry, it's not very democratic. A nice mug here, but what's inside the mug is actually better. That's chocolate. So if you live in Yekaterinburg, or if you're coming to Yekaterinburg, we're going to give this prize to you. We'll set up a time for you to come and get it at the consulate. So I hope you are ready to participate. So let's go with our word of the day, or phrase of the day. I'm going to put Nadezhda, hello, good evening. Our phrase of the day, a very useful phrase to learn in English. This is what you should remember the most if you watch this program. Oops, yeah. The ball is in your court. You have to kind of know sports. Do you understand what this means? Could you guess what it means if I said, all right, the ball is in your court? It'd be a little confusing. Yes, Alek, we have candies. Candy. So the ball in your court means this in English. This is your decision now. This is your responsibility. And I think I got this right in English. You can tell me if I'm wrong. Dela z vami. Is that right? Может быть, это неправильно. So remember this, and we'll come back to it at the end. The ball is in your court. So right now I'm asking to ask the best question tonight. The ball is in your court. It's your responsibility. Let's move on to our short presentation, as we usually do, with idioms, things that are kind of easy to understand and kind of hard. So we'll go from the easy to the hard. And of course, if you have a question, please ask in the comments section. Okay. Yes, hello. So our first phrase is sleep like a baby. Do you understand that one? That's very easy. Sleep like a baby. All these idioms tonight have to do with children, and they're very common. So, sleep like a baby. Any guesses? All right. It means to sleep well, to sleep deeply, happily. So the example I would give is, last night I got great rest. I slept like a baby. Because babies. My daughter came in and said hello during this. That's what you do when it's live. And I got Alek, I'm going to put it up there. Spat kak rybyonek. So you have the same one in Russian. Great. To have a good dream. Yes. All right, excellent. So let's move on to the next one. Boys will be boys. This can be positive or negative depending on the perception of who's saying it. It can be like a mother saying, oh, boys will be boys. They will get muddy and dirty. Or it can be boys will be boys. They're not very nice. But we're talking about children here. So if you hear this phrase, this is what they're talking about. Boys, or sometimes men, will behave in certain ways, often badly. So that's where it gets the negative connotation, where if somebody did something bad, somebody might say boys will be boys and kind of laugh it off. That's not really good. If it's for little children, it's probably okay. Boys will be boys. They always spill their food. But it's a common phrase heard in English. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense. Girls will be girls, boys will be boys. Gender doesn't usually matter. Kids will be kids. Maybe that's the best one. All right, has everybody written that down? Understand it? I'll put it right back. Boys will be boys. Okay. Let's go with new kid on the block. New kid on the block. So you probably know the word new. You know kid, rybionek, on the block. And block in English means the like quadrat, I think is in Russian, the place where you live in a city between the two streets. So it's a common expression. I think Jennifer Lopez said, Jenny on the block, or they were back in the 1980s, new kids on the block. And it simply means a person who has recently joined a group, a new person, new to the community, new to the group, new to the neighborhood. So, new kid on the block. I'm going to ask one more time. I have not seen a good recommendation for blinchiki yet. So I'm asking somebody out there to tell me. Let's see here. Baby boomer. Baby boomer. Жал не понимаю английского. Надо учиться. Excellent. You can do it. Надо учиться. Baby boomer is a phrase or a term used for a specific поколение, a generation of people, Americans usually, I think. And it's a person born in the years following World War II. So people born in the late 1940s, the 50s, and I think early 60s and to 70s. This was when there was a lot of babies born in the United States. And this generation it's a big generation. It's an important one. So now they're all probably in their 70s. My parents are baby boomers. Yeah, I'll put that. I'll like baby boomer. Yep. Rybionek boomer. So it was a boom, which is a big increase, and baby, so a big increase in babies. So baby boomer. Just remember after World War II. Last one, chip off the old block. Chip off the old block. I don't know how many people still use this, but you might hear it from older people. And it's quite simple. Has everybody got that? Did you write it down? If not, you can watch this later and go back and write it. Chip off the old block. And it means someone who resembles a direct ancestor, or usually their father or their mother. They look like them or they act like them. Does that make sense? So I guess the block is the parent and you're like a chip, so you resemble them or you're something from them. I think it's usually positive. Depends on what the parent is known for. If they're not liked, then that would be negative. If they're liked, then it would be positive. So, all right. So let's go through that one more time. Chip off the old block. Baby boomer. New kid on the block. To sleep well. Oh, sorry. Sleep like a baby. All right. If you have any questions, you can just go back and you can ask in the comments section, or you can watch again. All right. So let's go to our translation. And tonight I got it in English, and I want you to translate it into Russian. So here we go. It's never too late to learn. It's never too late to learn. Can you translate that into Russian? All right, I'm waiting. It's never too late to learn. A lot of you are intermediate to high advanced speakers, so you should know this. And Alec had Novi Rybionek na bloke. Is that a real phrase in Russian? Svetlana is the first. It says, Nikogda не поздно учиться. Konstantin, никогда не поздно учиться. Irina, никогда не поздно учиться. Very good. And Nikita got it right as well. That was way too early, too easy. So I'll put it up here for you. Yeah. Никогда не поздно учиться. Something we should all learn. You can always learn more. You can always, it's never too late. All right. Great job. Excellent. Молодцы. Oh, we got more. I'm going to put, Elena got it. Svetlana got it. Учиться всегда приготовиться. I think that probably works. All right. So let's move on and talk to our guest here. Let's welcome her. Hello, Jehan.
Hi.
Привет.
Привет.
In Moscow. How is it in Moscow? Cold, nice?
Неплохо. It's warm. It's better than it was before. I like warmer weather, so it was nice today.
Good, good. Well, thank you for joining us. I want to remind our audience, if you have a question for Jehan, she's ready to answer your questions. She runs the American Center in Moscow, which is a great resource if you live in Moscow, but you have a lot of online programs right now that we can direct people to. You're a cultural affairs officer. You do lots of projects with grants. And I wanted to note, I'll put this up for you because I'll have people saying hello. You're a mother of 3. You're a diplomat, and you're an author. So my question to you is, when do you sleep? Because that doesn't seem possible.
So I had a baby here since living in Russia, Katya, and she is not sleeping through the night yet. So I feel like I never sleep. I feel like I haven't slept in years, but I sleep when I can. It will get better. It will get better. I will sleep later. It will get better.
You'll get later in life. You'll sleep. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, you've served now, you've been in the foreign service for about 16, 17 years. You've served, I think, in Ghana, Germany, Venezuela.
Dominican
Republic. Now Russia. Do you have a favorite place that you've served? Do you have a favorite place that you really liked? Or are they all like children, like you have no favorites?
Yes, they're all like children. I mean, every country has amazing, people, amazing food, amazing things. You can't compare. Like one country, you might love the weather. Another country, you might really love certain type of food. So like, I like to approach each country and take whatever they have and love that, instead of saying, oh, well, when I was in this country, I had this house, or when I was in that country, it was sunny every day. Like, it's not going to be sunny every day in Russia, but they've got amazing people, amazing tea, amazing transportation. So, amazing culture. So you absorb what you can.
Yeah. What have you enjoyed about Russia the most? You mentioned tea. Is there anything else that you really like about Moscow and Russia?
So I'm a big tea drinker, and I have served most of my career in places people drink coffee only. So I go to a meeting or I go to someone's home and they offer me coffee. But in Russia, everywhere I go, you get tea, which is awesome because I usually have to bring my own tea bag with me wherever I go places. And in Russia, I never have to bring my own tea. There's always tea when I go somewhere. And I also, obviously, I love, before I started working here, I had a lot of time to just tour around and just jump on the metro and get off and walk around and go places. And there's more to see in Moscow than a human can do in a lifetime, probably. And definitely not in 5-6 months I had. So I just enjoyed that. I enjoyed business lunch, just going to restaurants that are too expensive to go to for dinner, but going for business lunch. I enjoyed walking around and looking at all of the churches and the buildings and the architecture, talking to people in Russia and trying to talk. I love markets. Yeah.
That sounds nice. Life before the pandemic, or maybe even during the pandemic too, you've been able to get out. That's great. So I have a quick question. Well, since Anna asked it, she said, I'll put it back up here so you can read it too. what are the most challenging things you deal with when your mission is trying to get along with a nation that's, having trouble, the bilateral relationship? What's challenging about that? Or is it, have you found it easy to work with partners and do things here in Russia?
I would say it's challenging that the people and the cultures want to get along and want to work together. So it's challenging sometimes to get past the politics, and to, on our people to people programs, we're fine. We get people to come to the American Center. People want to learn about America. Americans want to learn about Russia. It's just trying to get past the drama of politics, and, and finding the places where we can work together. We've done a lot of hockey programs. Our ambassador loves hockey, and we've been able to do a lot of things around hockey. So it's safe and it's easy. So the challenge is finding those areas like jazz music, fashion, sports, where we can work together without anyone questioning anything political. There's no politics. It's just fun and culture right now.
That's a great point. Alec asked you how long you've been living in Russia.
Not too long. I arrived in August of 2018.
Okay, so...
No, sorry, 2019.
19. So about almost 2 years. Okay.
Almost 2 years, right.
And you'll have another year of service probably, right? Or are you leaving after this year?
I'm leaving in June.
Like me. Yeah, we're both leaving this summer.
Yep.
Как грустно. All right. Another question. You're an author. You've written stories about historical figures in the United States. Yes, The Great Escape of Robert Smolls, John Lewis, tremendous figure. We got Booker T. Washington and Harriet Truman. Tell me what inspired you to first become a writer, and then second, choosing certain historical figures to write for children. I think they're for children or teenagers, right?
Right, children. So I've always loved storytelling and talking. As a kid, I would just make up stuff. And I realized once, if I called it a story, then I wouldn't get in trouble. Otherwise, if it's a lie, you get in trouble. But if I make up something and it's a story, then it's entertainment. So I just like making things up. I used to, before Facebook and Instagram, my friends would just listen to me make up stories about their boyfriend, the boys they liked, or the things they wanted to do, like how they would one day, the guy would like them back. Like I would just make up stories. We talk on the phone for hours and I would just make up stories. So I've always wanted to write books. And I actually wrote a book. I sent it to a publisher and they didn't like it, but they liked my writing. And they said, would you like to write a book about Robert Smolls? And I said, yes. And then I had to Google, who is Robert Smolls? And that's how it started with Capstone. I have been writing books for them, for children, on historical figures that, all children should know about, but definitely American children, people who fought for, freedom and independence, for in some instances, African Americans or others. So I got into these books that way. And I still write fiction. I write my own stories. And I have some ideas of something to write about Russia, about a Russian kid who comes to America. But, I just make up stuff and I write it. And these things were all, not my made up story. They're real people. And I wanted to tell kids about them.
Yeah, the story about Robert Smolls is pretty fantastic, correct? It's an unknown story, but it's pretty amazing.
Yes, it's amazing. He was a slave in America during the Civil War, and he stole a Confederate ship and he sailed it all the way to the northern part of America where there was no slavery, and he snuck his family and friends aboard the ship. And at this time, people didn't think slaves knew how to sail ships. They didn't think they could manage it. And he learned how to do it by watching people. And he did it. And people didn't think he could. So it's an amazing story of I think we call it the daring voyage out of slavery. It's his
wow.
That he made it all the way. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know the details, but I when I was before talking to you, I read a little bit about it. Alexei has a quick question. What kind of coffee do you prefer, Perks or Italian? I think you prefer tea though, right?
I prefer tea. I prefer chorny chai.
Chorny
Um,
chai. Okay.
Chorny chai any day over. I don't even know what Peaks is. I think I've had coffee twice in my entire life, and I didn't sleep for like weeks after that. And both times I was like, "What is this? Like, this is gross." I think I love tea. Tea is my thing. So
Well, you're in a good place for it then. Russia has plenty. Svetlana asked, have your children got used to Russia, and do they speak Russian, and do they communicate in Russian with Russian kids?
So my daughter takes Russian classes, and one of her best friends is a Russian girl her same age. She goes to the same school as my daughter, so this little girl also speaks English. So they speak in English together. Unfortunately, they don't really speak in Russian. But my daughter can say "privyet," and she can ask people how they're doing. She says "thank you," "please." We haven't been here long enough, I feel like, for them to really take in the language, especially with the period of with COVID. She takes Russian twice a week. No, she takes Russian 3 times a week. My son does not speak Russian. He did not take Russian classes. He has a learning disability, and we found it was easier for him to stay with English because we've moved around so much that my kids only spoke Spanish. So they have Spanish in their head, and they still speak it, but they don't read it anymore. And then we went to Germany, and they learned German. And then that was when we realized our son had a learning disability. But it was just so many languages that he was learning that we decided to not do Russian.
Okay. Well, Russian's hard, but I think kids usually absorb some of the little phrases here and there, even if they're not studying it formally. You're right.
Right. I have something to say about Russian being hard and age. Can I say it real quick?
Sure.
When I was in Germany, I was doing a presentation at the school, and one of the kids said, "Oh, where are you going next?" And I said, "I'm going to Russia." And the kid said, "Oh, my family's he was from Poland." And he said, "I speak Russian and Polish and German and English, but you will never learn Russian because you're too old." And he said, "Old people have a hard time learning languages, and a language like Russian is too hard for you because you're so old." So because of that, I think about that kid every day. I don't want to study Russian or do my homework. Yeah. I have to do my задание because I have to one day find that little boy and say, "Hey, I'm very old, but now I speak Russian."
He challenged you. Yes.
He challenged me, yeah.
We have a lot of questions here, so I'm going to run through them pretty quick. Good question from Nikita. If you had 3 extra hours a week to do, how would you spend it? That's probably...
Oh, I should say, I should write, because I have a lot of stories that I'm halfway through and I haven't finished. I should sleep because I never sleep. But I bet I would do something like clean up or organize my kids' stuff. I mean, I probably would waste it. So what I would need is this chance to stop time. So give me 3 hours, but time stops. Like no one else gets time, just me. I pause the entire world. I get 3 hours. I would probably sit down with a cup of chorny chai, some chocolate, and I would write. I would just sit and write. And then I would take a nap, and then I would wake everybody up.
It's a good fantasy. Probably...
Yeah.
We have Alec. He said, where are you from in the United States? Which state?
I'm from Virginia. Virginia.
Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yes.
All right. Alexei asks, do you like Russian fairy tales? Do you have a favorite? Have you ever read any Russian fairy tales? They're very famous.
I do. I have a couple of different books that I think are Russian fairy tales. They said they were Russian fairy tales. Let's see. I think I like the Firebird, the one where there's 3 brothers and the youngest finds the princess and finds the wolf that talks to him and helps him get the princess, who helps him get the Firebird, and there's his brothers and stuff. I also like in the Russian fairy tales when the house has legs of a goat or a chicken, and there's like a witch you have to get past, and I just like the mystical things in fairy tales, like the water spirits, the water talks, or the forest, the wolf and the bear in the forest, and the everything. So I like all Russian fairy tales. My favorite is probably the Firebird, which in my head, what I've read is there's a bird like with wings of fire, you know, and you have to find the feather, and then you get the horse and the girl, and everything comes with it.
Very nice. Sounds like I should read that. Anna asks, are there any places in the U.S. That inspire you, or what inspires you the most? Any places you think are really beautiful?
Yeah, we have a lot of natural beauty in the U.S. I love the Grand Canyon. I love Maine. My husband's from Maine. I love Maine in the fall, or you know, anytime but the winter. You know, and the leaves are
Hmm.
changing. There's so many trees, and all the leaves change. I love Virginia in the fall. Um, I love, you know, the cool, crisp mornings in Virginia, and you know, I love it. The summers in the northern parts. I think New York is pretty cool. You know, when you're going to a show, if you're going like on Broadway and everyone's moving around near Times Square and it's busy. I like California. I love the West Coast. I love being outside. So, you know, that I love that there's so many places in America you can go outside. You know, obviously Hawaii. I've never been to Alaska, but I'm sure I would love Alaska too.
It's a lot of variety in the U.S. It's huge. That's true. Anastasia asked, Jehan, you're very nice. You should definitely buy a samovar and bring it to the U.S. If you haven't already, the big, like the watery, like heating pots that they have.
Oh, that's
Um,
a good point. I'm writing that down.
this is Chai
Sorry.
says Barankami. All right, I thought she had a question. Sorry, I didn't read it. Tatiana says hello. And Nikita asks if you have your books on Amazon. I think the answer is yes. I found all of them, and we can put a link in or later on if you wanted to know about that, Nikita.
Yes, but I'm not here to say people should buy the books. So,
Okay, I'm not making any endorsement.
yep, no.
Um, Alec asks,
I do the American Center Library, so if you're ever in Moscow, you can read them for free.
okay, that's a good idea. What is your favorite dish in Russia?
So I like borscht. You know, I like the soup. I like the flavor of it. I've had a couple of different salads that are. When I first saw some Russian food, it was very creamy, and I thought, oh, I'm not a really creamy person, and it tastes really good. So I don't remember the names, but I've had lots of food. I had a friend when I lived in Germany who made me like a traditional New Year's Eve dinner. We had like dinner together. So I like the fact that Russian food kind of sticks to your ribs, you know, like your idiom, your phrase.
It's yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
yeah,
heavy, so you're not gonna just get hungry after an hour. You know, if you eat Russian food, you can stay full for a couple hours, so you're not gonna be hungry as soon as you finish eating it.
good answer. Nikita has another question. What would you like to do in your current assignment that you haven't done yet in Russia? There's probably plenty because the pandemic has prevented some of that
Right?
over the last year.
Um, there's a lot I want to do at the American Center in person, and I wanted to make our library more like larger and have more people come there and enjoy the library, enjoy our programs. Um, I I wanted to do more dance programs at the American Center. We're gonna do a hip hop program in June, but it might have to be online. And I would love to like uh, I wanted to renovate the American Center and put a movie theater in there because we can show so many movies. And personally, I really wanted to go to the Bolshoi, if do a tour of it or even go for an event. And the first year I was here, I tried to convince my husband to go with me, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, Doragaye, the tickets are too expensive. We can't go to the Bolshoi; it's so expensive." And he said, "Well, you know, we'll save up money and we'll go before we leave." And now then COVID happened, and now we
Mhm.
might not be able to go at all. So um, I hopefully I can travel around the country more, and I can go to the Bolshoi.
Hope so. Let's hope before you leave. So we got quite a few okay, we have three more questions sitting here, but we have not limited time here. Uh, if there's an essential superpower thing in storytelling, do you have any tips for how to come up with a good story? Do you like yeah, tell us a strategy that you have for fictional
I
fiction
think
writing.
that I think that a lot of people have a great idea. The thing is actually putting it to paper, start to finish. So someone once told me the best thing you can do to improve your chances of writing a great novel is to write a lot of short stories, because you know, you need to practice the beginning, the middle, and the end. And the problem is a lot of us know how our story starts and we know how it finishes, but we can't think of all the stuff in the middle. So kind of practice figuring out how to tell your story and do the entire thing from the beginning, middle, and the end. Have characters that are engaging. You know, think of your characters as real people. Maybe make a picture of your characters. Like sometimes go online and Instagram and find people who look the way you wish your characters would look and write about them as if they look like that person, you know. And your same thing for your scenes, you know, like your scenes in your book should be as vibrant as a person. Have good dialogue. Think about it as, you know, real people, how they talk, how sometimes they touch their hair or they scratch their face. They just don't, I said this, and she said that, and then she said that. It's, you know, they pause and they ponder. Have a diary. You know, I think one of the great things about being a writer is if someone ever breaks your heart or, you know, cheats you out of something or hurts you really bad, all those emotions you can put into writing. So if you've ever had your heart broken, you can write a great story about heartbreak. You can't write a story about heartbreak if you've never had your heart broken. So that, you know, if you've never sat and sorry,
no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That leads to the next question. Says, do you believe people start writing books because of a difficult life experience which they have to externalize? I think that's what you're probably leading to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do write books because they have this story to tell and they have something that moves them and they feel like, you know, other people can relate to this experience and I want to tell it.
I think that's so true. It can be a positive, it can be a traumatic, it can be lots of things. Yeah, great question, Kate. That came from Kate. And quickly, Alec has, do you have a favorite holiday in Russia? And he also asked any Russian music you listen to.
So favorite holiday, I love the fact that everything kind of shuts down around the Christmas and New Year's holidays, and there's that entire, like those entire weeks to kind of do things with people. I feel like sometimes we rush through our holidays in America, and I feel like Russians and other Europeans take the time to celebrate their holidays and that their holidays last for a long time. I love things like Defender's Day, different things where it's a holiday that's not in the US and I'm like, oh, today's a holiday, I can learn about it. You know, I like the fact that you have a Woman's Day. We have Mother's Day, but it's not a real holiday in the sense that you get off from work. You know, schools don't stop, you know, it's on the weekend. And my son was like, well, when is Men's Day? And I said, well, it's Women's Day today. Okay, I'm sorry, there's not a Men's Day. But I haven't found a Russian holiday I don't like. So yeah, I like them all.
That's great. Everybody, I'm going to close the door because my daughter walked in and then left the door open. Now she's being very loud. So if you hear yelling, that's what it is. Hold on.
Yeah, kids, we love them. They also cause disturbances sometimes. It's the online working from home, and you know, my kids are always walking around behind me. Yeah.
So one question I was going to say, we want to talk about grants. You know, you kind of oversee a lot of the grants that the U.S. Embassy gives to certain organizations. Can you talk a little bit about that process, and then, you know, maybe one that, like a type of grant that you would do, that you would help support?
Sure. So we have several different kind of grants. We have a grant called the Annual Program Statement, which we give to institutions, sometimes individuals, educational institutions, community institutions, and it can go pretty much to anybody, but not to a business that's job is to make money. So we wouldn't give a grant to a bakery, but we would give a grant to a person who was going to train people to create their own bakeries to make money in areas where people don't have jobs. So we're not going to give money to a company, but we will give money to people who are helping people start their own company. And so the grant is supposed to strengthen ties between Russia and America, and through concrete examples and in areas of strategic importance. So we have like a grant where there were like space programs, or like youth who are doing astronomy in Russia and astronomy in America who work together online. And when, you know, it wasn't times of COVID, they travel to each place, and they do things together with their telescopes, and they do projects, and they compare the sky at a certain time in Russia and a certain time in America. We would give grants to someone. We also give grants to cultural groups. If you're in a cultural group and you want to bring Russian culture to America, we would give a grant to that. It's just, the main point is the grant shouldn't benefit someone's. We can't pay someone and have their salary be paid. We can pay the salary if it's part of the grant, but a grant is not a way of not having a job. Sometimes we get grant requests and it's, I want to fix my roof on my house, or I want to go back to college. And that's not a grant because it doesn't strengthen the ties between America and Russia. A grant for English language learning for a small group of children in an area, or adults in an area where they can't have English classes, where there are no resources, that could possibly be a grant. But a grant for someone to go back to school for English on their own, just them, is not a grant. We also have the Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation, and that grant provides money for like the maintenance or the preservation or the study of like a Russian indigenous or Russian culture. Like it could be old building, a historic building. It could be a language spoken in a part of Russia which people are no longer speaking as much. It could be an artifact, several artifacts that need to be maintained. It could be a rare library that has, texts, old Russian books that, well, maybe not books, but things, artifacts that need to be preserved, and they need air conditioners, or they need heaters because they're getting cracked in the winter. Like, we give grants for that type of thing. We also have grants for just certain kind of projects. Someone might have a great idea and we might give a grant to that. Or we might have an idea, like doing World War II, we were doing lots of things with World War II last year, and we put out a request. Anyone who has an idea of World War II, showing the linkages between America and Russia, anyone who can show, the benefits of us working together, any kind of grants, send us your proposal and we could fund that.
All right.
Yeah,
Keep going. Sorry.
No, we have different types of grants, money. We also have, have these grants called peer-to-peer, which we have a Russian group and an American group work together, and they come up with a grant together, and they're peers, and they work on a kind of like partnership together on something. We sometimes have sister cities where a city in America and a city in Russia pair together, and they want to do activities together. They come up with together, and we fund that.
So there's lots of opportunities. We put the links in the comments section. So if you're interested, or you have an idea, or you think you may have a project that's ready to be funded, go to the embassy's website and check out whether it qualifies or would be a good fit. Okay. So,
and we have an email address, grantstate.gov, and you can send emails to that email address as well.
Okay. So everybody, you had a lot of great questions. Very impressed. So I'm going back through to look here. I think the best question tonight came from Anna, who talked about like what's the essential, like how do you become a good storyteller? So Anna, you get the prize. This nice mug with lots of chocolate in it. If you live in Yekaterinburg, I hope you do. Please write us a private message. We'll figure out a way to have you come and pick it up or deliver it to you. All right. So congratulations to Anna. Give her a hand. Molodets. Okay. So that is our. We have one more question, but I'm going to put it up just to, if we can answer it really quickly about computers in schools. I don't like them. I think computers can't give as much and wide knowledge as teachers can. As a parent, do you have an opinion about that? From Elza.
A big fan of screen time is what I call it. Screen time is when my kids look at a screen, whether it's an iPad, a TV screen. I think there's some benefits And obviously with COVID, we had to do it. So there's some benefits for doing school on a screen. But, you know, if I could do away with screens, I would. Like, I feel like they're a huge problem. And my kids love screens, so it's kind of hard to do away with them.
So yeah, I agree with you there. Little screen time, but computers can help. Okay. Thank you, Elza, for that question. So Jehan, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us and all of our friends here in the Urals and throughout Western Siberia, and to learn more about what you're doing and in Moscow. And I hope you can join us again and maybe come for a visit before you leave.
Thank you. I would love to.
All right. Well, everybody, that is our program. I want to remember, please share this with people that you know would like it on VKontakte, Facebook, and YouTube. Also Instagram. Follow us, share with us. My colleague is also putting up all the translations for the words we went over tonight. So you can get help with and go back and refer to it. Next week, we're going to have a great program. I always say great. They're all great, right? The big boss, our Minister Counselor of Public Affairs from the Moscow Embassy, Karl Stoltz, really great Russian speaker, has a lot of great experience in Russia. I believe he first served in Russia in 1992, so he really has a lot of insights and observations about Russian language, about Russian culture from an American perspective. So I think you should tune in, put this on your calendar, and be ready to ask him questions. He will answer them. And as usual, thank you so much for joining us. Anna, contact us for private message. I hope you're still on. And we'll see you next week. Спасибо. And до встречи. Пока.